It is my pleasure to introduce Karriem. He calls himself the encourager, so you wonder why, right?
All right. So this is a little bit about me. I'm not going to go over it too much, but I love working with small businesses. I have helped people actually receive bonding, help them put the application together, because it's almost like, but a little bit more work in doing business loans, which I have a background also. So it's a little bit about me. All right. So I took out one of the bullet points that we printed, supply RI, where it says spend 980 million plus. That number's always moving, so I didn't put it on my slide that I have here. But the opportunity, the reason why I show people numbers of what the federal government is spending, what the budget of Rhode Island is spending for professional services, supplies and equipment, and once we get an updated number for the supply RI anchors, is that there's an opportunity. And so if you know what the opportunity is and what people are spending, then you can actually have an idea of what might be an opportunity for you as a business to provide a product or service with that opportunity. So I think I gave an example last time. Say for one of the big companies like Amica is doing a renovation for a building or a wing, and you could provide that service. If you know what they're looking to spend, then maybe you can have a conversation with them. If you don't know what they're looking to spend or what the project is, and you just throwing stuff against the wall, then there might not be any traction for you to work with them. All right, so I always put those numbers up. I always show this nice little big number down here. Federal government spends, this is in 2017, this is from USAspending.gov, $3.98 trillion. It's a lot of money, right? Just imagine you have 0.001% of that. You'd probably be rich, right? Maybe, right? So that's the opportunity. So the objectives for today is the have you understand the bonding process, understand what bonding is, and then also we're going to have actually Mike Dacey from Dacey Insurance Agency have a conversation with him to get more in the weeds and the details of bonding. I'm going to do an overview of what bonding is, some terminology, also what things you should be thinking about if you're not bonded now, or if you are bonded, some things that you should be thinking about, because bonding doesn't mean that you have to be a construction contractor, right? Usually people say, oh, contractors that do construction have to be bonded. That's the only people. No. If you're providing a service, a product, and the company or the government entity says, based on this contract, you need to be bonded, it's a requirement. All right, so I know some people said that I provide services, I would never need to be bonded. Well, if the contract that you're working with that business, or you're working with the government entity says you need to be bonded, you need to be bonded in order to bid and work on that project. All right, so I was going to have you all break into teams, but I have a question for you. What is the challenge? The questions that you see. What's the challenges for you, or the challenge that you see for businesses around capital, around bonding? What are some challenges, like you might know of other businesses around accessing capital or bonding? And both of those actually almost go together. You probably say why. I'll tell you a little bit later. So what are some challenges that people might think about around those? Johnny, and then Simon.
So some of the challenges that I see in the industry is, so sometimes credit,
Yep.
you don't have good credit can affect you. Equity or net worth, they look at your retained earnings. So if you don't have no retained earnings,
Experience, capital, lack of understanding are some huge ones. And so bonding, what it really is when the owner is being protected, right, of a project with a surety bond, as Simon said, buy an insurance, right? And if you don't adhere to the terms of the contract, then the owner of that contract has some assurance that maybe that they will get paid, right? If you don't perform, they will get paid for you not performing, or also they can actually now go out and find another contractor to make sure that project is done and completed. All right, it's a insurance policy. It is important, and so it's really to help with any disruptions or financial losses with a contract. All right, so I'm just not going to just talk about construction contracts, but it's a contract. All right, and so terminology, bid bond. All right, so, and I'll show you an example of some language that in order to bid, so say for instance, you have a company and they said that we want you to bid on a project, but in the details saying that you must get a bid bond. And a bid bond really is saying that, listen, I need you to get a bond that you can bid on this project. That's a process. Now, we're not saying that you're going to win the contract, but you need actually a bid bond to bid on the contract. And so the definition up here is saying, you know, a process by the contractor to the project owner to provide a guarantee that the winning bidder will undertake the contract under the terms at which they bid. All right? So this bid bond is saying that you bid, if you win the contract, you're protecting the customer, right? You say you was gonna, you know, do the contract. If you don't do the contract, then at least they'll have some recourse that they could go to the insurance company and receive some funding from that. Because if you're not gonna do the contract, why bid? Why go through the whole process of to get a bid bond, which is takes a lot of time. You all that have are bonded know that it's just not, you know, you fill out one piece of paper and you get a bid bond. It's work. So, but also the customer is asking, listen, if you win the bid and you walk away, I spend a lot of time on this project already getting bids, then I need to have some recourse. All right? Questions about that? Yes.
Does the bid bond also protect the person who's receiving the bids that they're not going to be underbid, right? So like if for example, oh, someone submits an attractive bid and it's bid bond, they start working and then, you know, it's like $500,000 and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, actually the project's going to cost.
So you mean protect the person that's bidding?
Yeah.
It won't protect. It's only protecting the customer that you're bidding to.
Okay.
All right.
Who pays for that? Is it the contractor or the?
So that's a good question. I'm gonna talk about that later. What's the fee? What's the cost of that? So good question. Correct. The next terminology is a performance bond, also known as a contract bond. Right. So we talked about a bid bond, and now this is a performance bond. It is a surety issued by an insurance company or bank to guarantee satisfactory completion of a project by a contractor. All right, so you have bid on the contract, all right, and so you have a bid bond. Maybe usually bid bonds don't really cost any money. Sometimes you are charged a fee based on putting the paperwork together. But now you won the contract, and now you need to get a performance bond, right? So I won the contract to do work. I don't know. I'm doing road construction. And so I have a bid bond, and now I need to produce a performance bond based on the total contract. This means that, say for instance, Karriem owns a road construction company, and I'm gonna do work for the Department of Transportation, and I won the bid, I agreed to work on a contract. I'm saying to the Department of Transportation, I have a performance bond that if I don't finish the contract, then you can go to the insurance company and, you know, take care of your losses or find another company that can complete the work. All right? It's an insurance policy, not for you, it's for the customer. All right? And yes, there are fees with the performance bond. I'll talk a little bit about that later. But truly, if someone said that you might require some of your customers to contractors to be bonded, and yes, some companies do that. So like some of the anchors, depending on what the project is, they are going to ask for subcontractors or contractors to be bonded, all right? And so I think we were just talking about it before, you know, cleaning companies, people coming in your building, they should be bonded, right? People that's working on large projects or you might be in the security field, right? Providing security services should be bonded, right? Because the customer is looking for protection. So yes, you might have liability insurance, but that might not cover completing the contract. it's probably gonna cover if somebody sues that company. But are you gonna complete the contract? I don't know. But if I have that bond, I know that if you don't complete the contract, I know I could, if I have some losses, I could go to the insurance company and be backed up from that. All right? Questions about that? There's another.
There's a question.
Oh, there's a question, yes.
No, it's more of a statement. It also protects other subs on the job. Because we recently got a call from a bonding company.
Yeah.
You know, are we still interested in this particular contract?
Yeah.
Because they were taking the project over.
Yeah. So it's good that you brought that up. Goes into the next one. Payment bond, right? Payment bond is a surety bond issued to contractors that guarantees that the contractor will pay their subcontractors. All right? Material suppliers and laborers in a timely fashion. So when someone's saying, listen, I want you to also have a payment bond, they also saying, listen, if you don't pay the subs, if you don't pay your suppliers, then if that bond has to be kicked in, then we can make sure those people get paid. The reason why people do that, say for instance, they have, there's one big general contractor, but then you're subbing out to 10 people, but you didn't pay them, that customer doesn't want to be responsible for that problem.
That's what happens.
Right?
So-
And then the bond kicks in. And so that's the other thing also that, for instance, if you're doing sub work under somebody else, that's one of the questions you might want to ask them. You're the major contractor on this project, and I'm the subcontractor, is it bonded? Because that's something that can help you out if you're not getting paid from the prime contractor. All right, so bond, yes, depending on how it's set up, could work for you if you're doing sub work, and if you're the prime, also can help you out also. All right, so yes, I pulled this right from Rhode Island Department of Transportation RFP that's out there currently right now. But these are the things that you should think about. So let's talk about the elements of a bond package. All right, and this is usually where people look at bonding and they say, Karriem, I don't ever want to think about getting bonded, don't care about it, I don't want to do certain, this is a bid bond application, all right? So, the application, they want to see your financials, your business financials, they also want to see your personal financial statements, they might ask for your personal tax returns, all right? Also, they want to see at least probably 2 to 3 years of business tax returns, and they're probably going to ask for your insurance, right? What type of insurances you have, and then also, what do you have for receivables? What current projects you're working on? What have you done in the past? What are you doing now? Because what the companies do, they do almost like a capacity. What's your capacity in the past? What's your capacity currently? And then, why should I be even working with you on a bid bond if you don't have the capacity to actually do it? So, like Johnny said, it's a full analysis, and some people don't want to go that deep into the weeds, but they're doing an assessment. They're doing underwriting based on saying, can this person take on this opportunity? All right? And it's also a good process. It really will give you an assessment of where you are and in your business also. Questions about that? Anybody have questions about that? All right. So additional elements that I talk about is that one of the things that they also do, what Johnny brought it up, right? Credit report, right? They do look at your personal credit. They look at your business credit. I think Mike is here. All right. So, one of the things that people have to remember, it's like a big snapshot of your business, but also you. All right. Hey, Mike, come on in. Take a seat. Take a seat on the side. And so the thing about it, yes, it's very, I'm gonna just say, evasive, right? It's in the weeds. They want to know what you're doing, what's going on. You're probably like, why? Well, if someone is gonna actually insure you, they need to know, their risk, right? And also their strengths about your company. And just like the personal insurance companies now, they are pulling so much information on us personally, the same thing with the insurance company. So some of the things I tell people to think about under your credit report that they're looking at, I think Johnny talked about it, capital, capacity, what's your experience? So, also, what's the contract? You need to understand that when you're looking for a bid bond, that people want to see what the contract's going to be. So in here, I think in this template, here in the middle where it says bond request data, they're asking what is the actually project that you're bidding on. So this one is like a road and building upgrades to South Police Barracks, right? What's the scope of work? And then also, what's the estimated total amount of the bid? $500,000, $500,000. The reason why they need to know that is that I need to look at the company and see, do they have the actually, do they meet the requirements to even bid on this project? So like say for instance, give you an example, you all in construction, right? And then you want to bid on $1 million project that actually is putting up steel beams on a highway. Somebody might say, so you're doing building construction, now you're doing steel beams on a highway, do you have the experience for it? They need to understand what's happening with that, all right? So also, prior or current projects. So they want to know what have you worked on. And so in here also, I think if you look at the second page, in the middle it has experience data, right? So they're looking what experience do you have in the same type of projects that you're bidding on. Because all of this data is actually captured and they do underwriting based on that information, all right? Also management, they might ask you for your resume, right? Your experience, your background. You're like, wow, this is a lot of information, right? But it is. And so one of the things that you want to do is to prepare this information before you actually are going to start looking for bonding, right? Because I know Mike is going to tell us in a couple of minutes when we sit down and talk, like all the stuff he's asking clients to put together so he can get them a bid bond. Questions? There's also a website, and it's on the slides coming up where you can find where to get bonded from, surety companies, also federal and state contacts. Commerce Department has some of those contacts. So I just took a snapshot of what was on, a little bit about what was on SBA's website. And so they, SBA they do guarantee some of the bonds. And I think, right, they usually have to go to you to get the guarantee, right? You just can't go straight to the SBA to get a guarantee. But this was on SBA's website about their bond program, right? What's the process? Looking at your bond requests, looking at the partners with the business, the SBA guarantees, then the small business benefits. So that's their process. But in order to get that guarantee, you have to work with an agent. All right, you just can't go to the SBA and say, hello SBA, I want to get, SBA bond guarantee. Now, the interesting thing about the SBA bond guarantees that they are not going to guarantee, and it says here, right? The SBA guarantees contract bonds, but doesn't guarantee commercial bonds. So that's something that you need to know that, right? So any government agencies require certain companies and individuals to obtain a commercial bond. So you can't, if you're working with a government entity, the SBA is not going to guarantee that bond for you, all right? So those are the things that somebody like Mike will tell you